Can HYBE survive BTS's military enlistment? Yes. Stick around to find out the details. Welcome to Current Korea. Thanks for joining us. We recently had a question from one of our viewers who asked what other big-time talents HYBE currently has. We weren't able to answer the question at the time, but instead made up for it with this detailed video. We'll also cover just how much does BTS represent in HYBE's business, and if there is indeed other big talents. Let's get started. Here's a look at HYBE's yearly earnings report for 2021. This interesting graphic shows that if the same question was asked as late as 2020, we would have said HYBE would have to release albums with 6 members to stay afloat. Even as of 2020, BTS accounted for over 70% of HYBE's album sales, 94% in 2019, and 100% in 2018. But it looks like HYBE finally understood their predicament and started diversifying, thanks to the increase in popularity of new debuts as well as the purchase of Ithaca Holdings, home of Ariana Grande, Justin Bieber, Tim McGraw, and others. BTS in 2021 now only accounted for 33% of album sales. So that's it, right? Not exactly. You may have noticed that we've been saying percentage of album sales instead of percentage of HYBE. That's because HYBE apparently is no fool. You'll notice that albums only accounted for a quarter of their revenue in 2021, which was grouped under artist direct involvement, anything to do with album sales, concerts, etc. HYBE also has revenue gathered from activities grouped under artist indirect involvement, meaning HYBE is making money without the presence of the artist's presence. This would include everything from webtoons, licensing, online contents, Weavers. You can see all that in the graphics. This source of revenue accounted for more than what HYBE took in with artists directly involved in 2021. Now, it doesn't break down how much BTS accounts for in indirect involvement, but we don't think that really matters, at least in the short term. In a real-world situation with BTS, BTS will do group activities when scheduling allows, but will be focusing on solo works. That means HYBE will be able to double dip for both group and solos. For example, licensing or publishing or webtoons revenue will not cease just because Jin is in the military. They can still get revenue from the BTS brand, on top of what J-Hope just released. Nor is Weverse revenue going away just because Suga is up next, as other non-HYBE artists are now joining Weverse. So, in the short term, losses could just be from new group albums that won't get produced. And this was by no means a coincidence. Just by looking at earlier years, HYBE took in over 80% of direct versus indirect even in 2019 when BTS accounted for 94% of album sales, and a similar pattern can be seen in 2018 as well. This on top of acquiring other Korean labels, such as Pledis Entertainment, and the aforementioned US firm Ithaca Holdings. So while the result of diversification showed up starting in earnest in 2020, it looks like the plans were set in motion well beforehand. Speaking of artists, let's see some label mates, some of whom are quite popular. Just focusing on groups, HYBE manages 17, Tomorrow by Together, Enhypen, and the new female group, Sserafim. How popular? 17 is right behind BTS in terms of album sales this year. And TXT and Enhypen are in the top 10. And Sserafim broke multiple rookie girl group sales records just 2 months ago. So in the end, yes, HYBE will likely suffer initially from a portion of their business, and profits will likely be down, further freaking out investors, but from the looks of it, they should be able to weather BTS's military enlistment. And has been the case for the past few years, their long game continues to be further diversification. That's it for today. Thanks for joining us. That's what's in the news for Current Korea.